that this co-optation thing starts happening because of the two-party system, right? Where you end up moving to the right, as the Labour Party, thought they had to do in the 1990s. That kicked off then a sort of a chain reaction. So when the Tories came back to power, they had to deal with the Labour Party who'd moved more to the centre, which gave them obviously a need to differentiate themselves by moving to the right themselves. But just around about that time was when all the sort of like the phenomenon about almost the forgotten term of Euroscepticism emerged. So this was a threat to them from their own right flank, which dragged them even further to the right. So all these things that they did, like Cameron leaving the mainstream conservative European People's Party, right? That again went unsung. Yes. This is something that Danny Dorland talks about very compellingly. It was should have been a signal to the British establishment. Wait a minute, why are we moving? Why is our so-called centre-right party getting into bed with these modern but aggressive-looking Eastern European right of centre parties that are much more about sovereignty and identity and so on? Why would we, Western European sort of like country, part of the post-war settlement, find ourselves with our centre-right party moving there? And then all the rest, Farage, being successful in the European elections, again dismissed as a joke even before Brexit, who was interested in that? All these things were the reasons that the Tories had to move to the right. And this thing, co-optation, obviously can happen anywhere. But when you've only got two parties, then you're much more vulnerable to it. So effectively, if you look back with hindsight, Nigel Farage has been the most successful populist, if you want, commentator, agitator in Europe, arguably, right? In that he's forced the British right to do all these incredible things, not least Brexit, the most violent, upsetting piece of destruction that's happened, certainly in Western Europe since the Second World War, and then all the subsequent things that then unleashed as a result of that, because we are no longer constrained by EU rules and so on. So Rwanda being probably the ugliest and the most spectacular example.